Welcome to Joke Story Trick Live with Michael Kent. I'm him. Let's go. Hey, happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope you've had a good week since last time I saw you. We had Congressman Mark Pocan on the show last week, and this week, it's my buddy Cameron Fontana. You've seen him on TV here. He's on WSYX, ABC 6, Fox 28. He does Good Day Columbus all over town. I've been live on him. I've been live on the air with Cameron for probably like 5 or 6 times throughout the years. He has more energy than any other human I've ever met in my life. And from the sound check, it appears he still has that energy at 9 p.m., even though he wakes up at stupid 30 in the morning. It's been a great week for me. I spent most of the week sleeping. So that is why this week I don't have bags under my eyes, which is pretty amazing. But that said, I think I'm getting a little bit of a cold. I'm getting a cold. So on my table, I have Kleenex. I have tissues on my table. And if I want to blow my nose during the show, I'm not going to mute the mic. I'm not going to turn off the camera. I'm going to do it because I'm a human and you deserve to see me at my worst. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We've got lots of folks saying hello in the chat already. We've got some Patreon subscribers, Christopher Morrow, and we got Chris here. We got
Chris.
Yes. Hey, Nicole Reese. What's up, Nicole?
Cool.
Yes. And we have Cameron's here. Cameron Zavar. I need to get a sound drop for you. We don't have one yet. So Cameron Zavar says, if I had a pasta dish named after me, I would call it Cameron Fontana. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. We'll ask Cameron later on in the show if he's ever had any dishes around town named after him. I imagine as a local celeb, he probably has. I just want to know where you're watching from. So if you're tuned into the show, looks like we've got quite a few people watching. If you're tuned in, tell me where you're watching from. I'm interested to hear it. And tell me, I know that we've got one here in Hilliard, Ohio. We've got one in Los Angeles, California. And Christopher Moreau says, thanks for the sound drop. Shout out.
Chris.
You know what? That's something special that I'm going to do for all the folks who show up here every week and watch the show, because y'all are worth it, and I'm only doing it because people are showing up. It's been a lot of fun, and it's flattering to have folks show up. Mark DeTulio's in Bexley, Ohio.
Mark.
And excuse me, my Restream doesn't show me today how many folks are watching. Normally it says it does, but they also said that lately there have been some errors with it that doesn't tell me who all is watching. But I know from the chat who's here. Chris is in LA, Mark's in OH, and Nicole is in OH, and I believe Cameron is in the MI. Not Cameron Fontana, Cameron Zavara who's watching. So anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in this week. I'm excited about tonight's show. Eric Dittelman. Eric is, you don't have a drop either, Eric. We need you to get to one because Eric's a writer on the show. Jennifer Gates from Pickerington, Ohio. Jennifer's new here. Thank you for watching the show. I appreciate you tuning in. Hope to see you back here next week as well. Right now, it's time for something I call the stupid news. All right. In the stupid news today, we have a few good stories. This one was too good. We couldn't just write one punchline. We've got lots. The Navy has told sailors, stop buying LSD online. They say, buy it from a sketchy dude in a back alley with a peg leg and an eye patch when we dock like the rest of us. So that was a good joke, but we also had more because we couldn't decide. Navy told the sailors, please stop buying LSD online. Use the federally administered doses we force on you. Ooh, that one was dark. We went dark with that one. Here's another one. The Navy has asked their sailors to stop buying LSD online. Amazon's starting to get suspicious delivering packages to the middle of the ocean. That's a good one. Also from the Navy, sailors have recently voted to name the newest submarine. They'll be christening the USS Dude. That's a pretty good one. Okay. The next story up is a Canadian Tire store has temporarily closed after every scanned item comes up as Mr. Potato Head. Uh, when reached for comment, the Canadian Tire released a statement saying, sorry. Also in the statement, they say they've asked their manager of inventory to stop buying LSD online. Okay, Alabama students, you may have seen this in the news. Alabama students have started throwing COVID parties. They're throwing COVID parties to see who gets infected. This comes on the heels of the Alabama family reunions to see who gets pregnant. Okay, that one's rough, and I apologize if you're from Alabama, but listen, you did it to yourselves this time. We have one more news story from the Stupid News. Finland's Air Force has quietly dropped a swastika symbol from their military flag. Their flag actually had a swastika symbol, and they've quietly dropped it. Yeah, they justified it under the rule, 3 Reichs, you're out. And this, my friends, has been the Stupid News. Oh, that's it. Okay, let's go to the chat. Oh, thanks so much, Nicole Reese. I don't know what the rolling of the eyes was for. Those were all solid jokes from myself and my writing staff. What's up, Kimbro Plays? We have a Twitch streamer on the chat, ladies and gentlemen. That is a rare thing that's happening here. Very rare. Tell your Twitch friends, Kimbro, to bring them in as well. We have Mitch here as well.
Money making
Mitch. All right. What's up, Mitch? Good to see you here. Everyone in the chat, I really do appreciate you. And because of that, I'm going to play a new game tonight at the end of our joke segment. It's something we tried a little bit ago, and it didn't work quite well, so I'm going to give it another shot. We have another game at the end of the joke segment tonight. Nicole Reese says the Alabama story is what she rolled her eyes at. Are you from Alabama, Nicole? If so, I don't apologize, because like I said, Alabama did it to themselves this time. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I really do appreciate whenever you all chat. It makes the show so much more fun. I do have to do a little plug though. If you are watching right now on YouTube, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, click it, and then there's a little bell. When you hit the bell, it gives you alerts to when I go live and to when I've posted a new video, and you all can see those at any time. There's a bunch of people who have subscribed. I appreciate all of those subscriptions. Cameron subscribed, and he is on the show tonight, so I really do appreciate that. Also, if you're watching and you appreciate what I'm doing here, become a Patreon subscriber. If you become a Patreon subscriber, you can get all kinds of exclusive access. You get to come to the pre-show party, which is a brand new thing we're doing on YouTube, and you only get to see that if you're a Patreon subscriber. You can join for as little as $1 a month. You pay way more than that to watch Hamilton on Disney+. It's time, my friends, for the joke. All right, this joke's a little wordy, but I love it, and I laughed my butt off when I read it. So here's my joke of the week. There was an American wrestler from Texas named John. Throughout John's high school career, he never lost a match. As he went on into college, he continued undefeated. He became a national icon and a symbol of American strength. News began to circulate of a Russian wrestler who was fierce and unstoppable. As each wrestler's legend grew, a match was set up between the two, America versus Russia. The match would be held in Texas. John began training immediately. Every day his coach would tell him, "This Russian has a move called the Mongolian death grip. Do not let him put you in the Mongolian death grip. No one has escaped the Mongolian death grip." The day of the match finally came. Just before each wrestler stepped onto the mat in front of the capacity crowd, the coach once again said to John, he said, "Whatever you do, John, don't let him get you in the Mongolian death grip. No one has ever escaped the Mongolian death grip." 4 seconds into the match, the Russian had the American in the Mongolian death grip. The coach buried his face into his hands, and he cursed John for not listening to him. He said, "There was only one, you had one job. Don't let him get you into the Mongolian death grip." But then he heard the crowd cheering. He looked up, and he said he saw the Russian being pinned by John. He won the match. He runs over. The coach said, I put my hands into my face, and I didn't see what happened. How did you get out of the Mongolian death grip?" John was breathing heavy, and he said, "Well, coach, that Russian grabbed me by my twisted body in ways I never imagined possible. I was twisted up, and I was wincing in pain, and I opened my eyes, and right in front of me were 2 testicles. So I bit them." "What?" said the coach. "John, I don't think that's legal. You should be disqualified." "I don't know about that, coach, but I can tell you one thing. You ain't got no idea how strong you are until you bite your own balls. Because he was twisted up into a knot, friends. He was twisted up into a knot. That one was slightly PG-13, but I laughed my butt off when I heard it. So thank you all for indulging me and going along. Sean Brown said, ouch. Sean's a Patreon subscriber. We really do appreciate that. Sean, I got to get you an audio drop for next week. Let's see. Cameron said, I just now subscribed and I didn't know we were already Facebook friends. Oh, okay. And Nicole says, oi. Yes. Okay. This is a joke from a regular listener of the show and Patreon subscriber, Mark DeTulio.
Mark.
And he says, during a visit to the mental asylum, I asked the director how they determine whether or not a patient should be institutionalized. He said, well, we fill up a bathtub. Then we offer a teaspoon, a teacup, and a bucket to the patient. We ask him or her to empty the bathtub. Oh, I understand, I said. A normal person would use the bucket because it's bigger than the spoon or the teacup. No, said the director, a normal person would pull the plug. Do you want a bed near the window? That's pretty good.
It was pretty gold-darn hilarious.
I liked that one. This one's from Dallas Michael, who had me on his show last year. Dallas Michael says, a dyslexic man walks into a bra.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all.
Okay. Nick Johnson says, why does Sweden put barcodes on their ships? So they can Scandinavian.
That's so funny. Last time I heard that, I laughed so hard I fell off my dinosaur.
Actually, you know, I think I may have... let's get rid of those crickets. I may have actually told that joke on the show before, and I apologize.
No! God!
Okay. Donovan says, why aren't people in Antarctica getting the COVID? Because they are isolated.
Fool this man!
Okay. That's enough guest jokes. It's time for our news segment. And the news segment is, it's something that like I said, I don't know if it's going to work or not. Over the years, I've collected a bunch of really bad joke books. A lot of them were from when I was young and I wanted to grow up and be a comedian. So I have these joke books, and anyone who's ever bought a joke book knows that most of the jokes in the joke book are not funny. That's okay. It doesn't matter that they're not funny because we're going to read from them anyway. Here's a list of all the joke books I have in front of me on the table. There are like 8 of them, and we're going to spin the wheel, and we're going to play with. Let's use Kimbro. Are you still there? Because you're on Twitch. If Kimbro is still there, say yes in the comment. That way, I know that you'll be listening, and if so, you will be the one playing this game tonight because I just appreciate having someone finally watching us on Twitch. Okay, so he says yes. He is there. We're going to spin the wheel. Kimbro, you're going to be the one to spin the wheel. Here we go. We're spinning the wheel of jokes, and we land on what book? Dixon's. That is this book. This is Dixon's Joke Treasury. Dixon's Joke Treasury, an anthology of gags, bits, puns, and jests, and how to tell them. Now, there are 280 pages in this joke. So, Kimbro, give me any number between 1 and 280. Actually, let's make it between 12 and 280. Just a random number somewhere in the middle. That's the joke we're going to read, and we're going to see how bad and aged this joke is. 35. All right, let's look for 35. Number 35, there's 31. Okay, so these are organized by category, and this category is at the pearly gates. So we're going to do some lighthearted death comedy tonight. Okay, here we go. It's a long joke, and it starts on... Wait. Okay, we'll do this one. So there's one that ends on 35. We're going to do the one at the bottom. It says... Finally, this one, which is not a pearly gate story, but is set in heaven, so it's a heaven joke. 2 fine and devout Irish ladies end up in heaven. Isn't this grand, Bridget? Every night we go to bingo, there's a lot of singing and dancing, and they all have the old Alan Ladd movies. Yes, indeed, Gertrude, and you know, if it wasn't for that silly oat bran, we would have been here 10 years earlier.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all.
I know, it's not funny.
Boo! Boo!
But it's an old joke book, and at least it made sense that time, which is more than I can say for last time we tried this. We're going to do this every week. We've got all these different joke books. Some of them are really bad. Some of them are very old. So occasionally, and hopefully we will not get any like racist jokes on the show. That is a instant. I'll just cancel myself and just not do that. So anyway, we've had the jokes. That means it's time for a story. I recently found this. This is a motion sickness bag. Let me zoom in on that so you can see it better. This is a motion sickness bag. And when I got this, it first said it's for use during moments of stomach upset. Very formal. I thought this was the motion sickness bag. I was like, this is a paper envelope. This is not going to be sufficient. But it actually holds inside. There's a motion sickness bag that you grab. Okay. So I wanted to tell you the story about how I got this. In 2008, I got a call. The guy on the other end of the line said, "This is Petty Officer Rivera with the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. How are you doing today?" And at that point I said, "I'm fine, but I think I'm a little too old to be drafted. I'm a little too old to be recruited into the Navy." He said, No. We've been watching your YouTube videos and we've been sending them around to each other. And we want to come and have you perform for us at our annual end of season event. And I was super flattered. They said, if you can do it for X amount of dollars, we'll let you hang out, and you can hang out in our airplane hangar all during the day that day. And I was like, I'm an airplane buff and they didn't know this. And I'm in like freaking out. And so I played it cool and I was like, yeah, I guess I could do it for that. That's fine. And so I'm thinking on the inside, freaking awesome. Let's do this. Well, we booked the show. I was excited to do that. But in the however many months between then and the show, I got to know them because they would invite me to come and hang out at air shows whenever they'd come to a nearby state. So 3 or 4 times we would go to the air show and I would hang out with the Blue Angels in their VIP tent, and I got to know some of the folks. And so I've got some really neat souvenirs from the Blue Angels. This is one of their actual like patches that they gave me. So the reason I bring all this up is because they actually gave me a ride in the back of their C-130 during an air show. And I got the whole thing on video. I wanted to share it with you. So I hope that you enjoy this story.
I'm getting ready to go to this air show in Ypsilanti, Michigan to go see the Blue Angels. And I got a call the night before I left from one of my friends on the Blue Angels team. I had been approved for a VIP ride on Fat Albert, which is the C-130 cargo plane, during the air show. The C-130 cargo plane that they travel with is like a support aircraft. They all travel on it, and all the extra equipment for the Blue Angels is on that plane. Well, it flies its own demo during the show. Now, I've been on Fat Albert before, or BERT as they call it. I've been given several tours of it, but only when it was on the ground. So I signed a couple forms, and I was good to go on like one of the wildest rides of my life. Sitting in the back of the cargo bay, there was myself, a 19-year-old ROTC student from the University of Michigan, and someone from a local radio station. Other than that, there were 3 Blue Angels crewmen, and that was it. My seat was just a little backless jump seat on one of the rear doors to the aircraft. It had a big square window, and just behind my right elbow, there was a little yellow handle which I was instructed not to turn. The seat itself was pretty darn small. At this point, I can safely say I was getting a little bit nervous. I was given a small envelope containing a plastic bag because the Blue Angels policy is anything you take on BERT, you must take off BERT. I was encouraged to use the bag rather than feel brave and try to hold it. Apparently they had incidents in the past. The only thing holding me down was a small lap belt that attached not to the seat but to the actual side of the airplane. The pre-flight checklist came on through the loudspeakers in the back, and that really got my heart pumping.
Radio's on. Power system deployed. Checkmate. Radio box. Clear. Straight to you. Leader system. Check. EPJ on. Exterior collision show at the right. Inverter. Set. Stability indicator. Hey. Fuel car distribution. Net 17. Going to off. Local pressure. Fix it over. Rapid or select. Take control. Your control panel is coming. Set. Working. Set. Oxygen check over. Set off. Wait. 20 minutes right. Left. Center. Relevant. Low. Front lever corresponds. Charge will fit. Big down. Minus.
It was really exciting to listen to Fat Albert's all-Marine crew go through their communications. Soon we were moving, and I watched my car and the hangar disappear out the back cargo doors as we taxied across the runway. They sealed up the cargo doors, and my view to the outside world now pretty much consisted of the square window on the door behind my back and that same window on the starboard side of the plane across from me. I started thinking about the briefing we had all received from Major Burks, Fat Albert's pilot. He told us that we'd be taking off and quickly ascending to 1,000 feet in a matter of 15 seconds. He said we'd be experiencing some heavy G-forces between 2.5 and 3 Gs during some of the turns. Also, we'd be experiencing negative Gs, the kind that instead of sucking you down into your seat, they make your stomach rise up into your throat. He even said we'd have a couple times when we'd experience weightlessness. At the end of the runway, the engines cranked so hard the whole plane was shaking, but we weren't moving yet. When the brakes were released, the plane started forward and I was thrown sideways almost out of my seat instantly. One thing I underestimated was the speed that this aircraft gained going down the runway. We lifted off the ground at first just about 4 feet or so, and so far it didn't feel that much different than the takeoffs I experience every week in commercial planes. That was about to change very quickly. A normal commercial aircraft ascends to a cruising altitude at about a 7-degree angle. During the airshow flight demonstration, the angle that Fat Albert climbs is about 45 degrees. From inside the airplane, it felt like we were going straight up. Just a few seconds after takeoff, we were now already at 1,000 feet, and Major Burks pushes the stick all the way forward, pushing the nose of the airplane over and giving us a zero-gravity experience that lasted about 6 seconds. I tried to get most of the ride on video out the window, but every time we'd experience heavy G-forces, the camera would get heavy and you can notice it sliding down the window. We were flying at close to 400 miles per hour over Ypsilanti, Michigan, and occasionally you'd be able to make out the airfield below us and we'd do a close pass of the flight line and all the airshow fans. At one point I even saw the University of Michigan Stadium, which later on that night I got to visit and salute. At one point I think we were something like 40 or 50 off the airfield, going right across the ground at 300 miles per hour. It was a rush. You could really feel the speed of the aircraft that low to the ground. Between all the positive and negative G-forces, riding on Bert was like being on the fastest, wildest roller coaster I've ever ridden, times about 5. When the aircraft would bank, we'd pull 2.5 Gs, and it felt like the bottom of a hill on a roller coaster when you get sucked down into your seat. And then when the aircraft would flatten out or turn the nose down, you'd fly out of your seat during the negative Gs. Landing in Fat Albert was a little different than landing in a normal plane. The flight demo was meant to demonstrate the capabilities of the C-130 to take off, fly, and land in combat situations, pushing the aircraft to its absolute limits. So part of that was showing the crowd how little runway is actually needed to land a C-130. But we had done so much up and down from the runway during the demo, I wasn't 100% sure we were even landing yet. The bump when the wheels touched the ground was pretty hard, but to be honest, I've had much harder landings in commercial planes. It wasn't that bad. You can actually hear the landing in the video. Immediately after the plane touched down, the cargo doors opened and the pilots hit the brakes. The smell of burning rubber and smoke filled our noses. We were going backwards in a matter of just a few seconds. As soon as the smoke cleared, you could see we were already going backwards. It was like immediate.
That was my ride on on Fat Albert with the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. It was a crazy, crazy time, and I talked about it forever. I talked about it for a very long time because it was so cool to ride in a C-130. Now, I've been around the world, I think, 4 or 5 times performing for the Navy and for different military groups, and the first tour I did with another group was with the Kelly Bell Band. Now, I'm going to have Kelly Bell on the show next week, and we're going to talk about this tour, but in a matter of 12 days, we spent 56 hours on a C-130 aircraft, and now it's not as exciting anymore as it was that very, very first time with the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. But I still have the motion sickness bag that they gave me, and I still have the patch along with a lot of other really great souvenirs. It was an incredible experience. We have a few people in the chat talking about it. First of all, I want to read what Ryan Kane said. Ryan says, as far as green rooms go, an airplane hangar is pretty epic. That is right. It was where I hung out until that went. Nicole says, this is so cool. I know Marty would love to experience this ride. Oh man, and he's totally qualified being media. So he totally could next time they come through. I wish I still knew people on the Blue Angels. You know, the Blue Angels only are on the team for 3 years, and then they rotate out and then they rotate other people in. So I really don't know anybody there anymore. And I worked with them from 2008, and probably the last people I knew were around 2012, 2013, something like that. So Sean says, I almost lost it just watching. Yes, Nicole, 56 hours. Cameron says epic. It was pretty crazy. Christopher says it was amazing and scary in a cool way. Yeah, it was insane. And I tried really hard to get up in the back of one of the F-18s, and that was turned down because so the people that are on the crew, the 40 or 50 or however many are on the crew, they get one ride in the back of an F-18 when they're rotating out from the Blue Angels. They get one ride at the end of their 3 years. And so for me to come in and say, hey guys, I did a magic show for you. That's like silly. You know, I did go out with them after the show. We went out to the bars down there in Clearwater, not Clearwater, Pensacola. Sorry, Pensacola. We went out to the bars after the show, and I was having a drink with the photographer for the Blue Angels. That's the guy you want to be, because the photographer gets to go up every city they're in and take photos of them flying over the city. So he's like, yeah, I've been up like 60 times. It's no big deal. So that's the power job right there. So I want to share with you all something that I'm really excited about. Let me get that chat out of there, because this is my good friend Cameron Fontana tonight. Now, Cameron, like I said at the beginning of the show, has been on the show, or I've been on his show probably 4 or 5 times. Was super excited to have him on my show, and super excited that he agreed. He does the morning show on WSYX, ABC 6, Fox 28. It's called Good Day Columbus, and he goes around town and does whatever's happening in town that day. I've never met someone who is higher energy, and that's why I am stoked to have him on the show. Super great guy. Everyone, please welcome Cameron Fontana to the show. We're going to unmute his mic. Let me ask you to, there we go. Cameron, what's up, buddy? Yeah,
hey,
you sound great,
on, man.
I like your studio. Leave it to someone who works in television to have a studio backdrop with the wood and everything and his name. It's so
you know
great.
What? It's funny because like this backdrop, this is just like the in between my kitchen and my living room, and I made that pallet wall. But I feel like I use it for everything. This is like my spot. I have my lamps set up for my living room. And anytime we have to do like a Zoom meeting, any type of video, I'm like, well, I'm going to go to the kitchen table.
And you've got a whole, looks like you've got a whole rack of vinyl there behind you too.
Yeah. So my wife and I, we collect vinyl. This is just kind of what we have set up and what we're listening to right now. A lot of like swing stuff, blues and jazz. And yeah, we got that all set up right there with some pictures, and we love music. So this is kind of our spot.
That's awesome. The last vinyl I bought was Miles Davis because it was in my Amazon cart. And whenever Columbus got Amazon Now,
oh yeah,
that's what I used to test it. So I was like, you know what? This has been it was in my my shopping cart, and I went over and I said, I'm going to see how quickly I can get it. And it was at my door in 35 minutes. It was the craziest thing. It feels crazy. Wrong. So tell me, what is it like being on TV at 9 p.m.? I mean, you're not on TV, but you're on some people's TVs when who are watching the show. What's it like being on at 9 p.m. versus 7 in the morning like normal?
You know what? It's that point where it's kind of like it's a little bit more chill, where in the morning I'm kind of like really excited. It's literally one of those things where every single day is a different office. Now, recently we've been in the studio a lot more. And I'm just now going out. And the difference is I don't have my kid with me. And that's who's playing on her iPad really loud right now. Chanel,
oh, it's fine. We can't hear it. It's fine.
iPad down. She's got stickers all over the face.
Oh, that's fantastic.
No, it's definitely a different feeling. But no, I probably go to bed a lot later than I should. I usually go to bed around like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then I wake up about 4. Just because my wife gets home about 9:45 for dance classes. And I feel like if I can survive on that amount of sleep, I might as well go with it. Now, I do feel that shortening more and more and more of how much I can actually do it.
Yeah. I could never do that. I mean, I go to bed at that time, but I also sleep until like 8. I mean, and that's early for like in my household. Yeah. That's if I can't. What, you wake up at 4:30 to go on TV?
Yeah. Oh. So in our 6 o'clock hour, I start a little bit later for the morning show. You have Buck and a lot of like Kurt and Jessica and Katie who start at 4:30.
Yeah.
And then I don't come on until the 6 o'clock hour because then I'm 6 through 10. And then we have a show at 10 o'clock. And then after our 10 o'clock show is when I go out and do some shoots. So my day
So
ends
you're
a little
not
bit later than that.
but you're not done when you go off the air live. You go and
No,
work.
no. After that is we'll have a shoot or two, maybe some satellite interviews. Just talked to Mike Rowe today from Dirty Jobs. He's one of my favorite dudes in the world.
Yeah.
And I had Penn from Penn and Teller
Penn
on,
Jillette.
and I told them because we get to chat before we go on, and then even I said on air, I said, "Hey, we have Michael Kent on the show, Fool Us." And he's like, "Oh, I love Michael Kent. This guy's awesome."
That's awesome.
So,
Penn's such a great dude. He's really nice. I when I did that show, I was told that I wouldn't get a chance to, as a contestant on the show, you're told that you don't get a chance to talk with the celebrity hosts at all. But both he and Teller separately came backstage after we taped my segment to talk to me and congratulate me and say like, "Oh, that was really great," and all this. It was super cool. And I had met Penn before, but he's if when you meet Penn in person, he's really tall and super intimidating. He's super intimidating. And I met him the first time before he had lost all his weight. And he's just such a big dude. And I got nervous and starstruck around him. And I was like, I'm coming to your show tonight. And he goes, well, try not to suck. And then he just kept walking. So that was my first, my first time meeting Penn. So that's really great. Now you were born in Osaka, Japan.
Yeah.
And then military family or?
No, and it's funny. And that's literally
I'm sure everyone asks that.
99% of the time people would say military family. No, my mom lived over there for 16 years.
Wow, cool.
She was a makeup artist for the consulate. And then she owned her own talent agency. And while she was over there, she had me. So I lived there from birth till I was 7. I went to an all Japanese school. Which every year around like the Asian festival, it's really exciting because the Japanese culture I grew up in. So I absolutely love it. Love being a part of that. And then they'll share my school photo every year on air. And I went to I was literally the only Gaijin or American in a K through 12 school. It was
that's amazing.
One giant building. So my school photo is like black hair, black, blonde. It's really easy for my mom. It was so easy for my mom to find me in a crowd because
that's great.
I stuck out like a sore thumb. But no, I mean, love the Japanese culture. Moved to Southern California or Burbank when I was 7, and then out here to Ohio in 2005 after high school.
Wow. So this glamorous life of Japan and SoCal brought you to the wondrous cornfields of Columbus, Ohio. That's beautiful.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. When I first flew in, I called my mom and said that I think I had made a mistake coming out.
Oh, really?
Here. But you know what? God works all things out, and here I am today. Met my wife, have the greatest job in the world, and we love it here. I mean, and to see it grow during a time like this, and obviously Columbus has been around here longer than I arrived, but I mean, it's rapidly expanded, and it just has to meet everything.
And you've been here much more than Christopher Columbus was ever here, which is 0.
See, that's why you're the comedian.
That's amazing, man. That's awesome. So your mother was a makeup artist for the U.S. consulate in Japan.
Yep.
Why does the U.S. consulate in Japan need a makeup artist? Not that I'm sure it was a great job and
right. And not only for like the U.S. ambassadors, but also for like the Japanese ambassadors in the 80s. During that time, it was very for meetings. I mean, they would go all like still kimono, still heavy makeup, and it was a job that she landed in.
That's
from
awesome.
there. That's when she started a talent agency. So I modeled and did commercials as a kid in Japan. Obviously, being blonde haired,
sure,
you get a lot of gigs over there.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and then the typical. I was working on the weekends and then going to school 6 days a week because that's their system over there. And I just got tired of it. I'm like, Mom, I want a normal life. And kind of ironic that to leave Japan is full circle around to it to get back on TV.
Back in show business. That's amazing. That's amazing. I love Japanese culture. I've been probably 3 or 4 times to Japan with performing for the Navy usually. Wow. And I'm only there usually for like a day and a half in each place. But over time, with that day and a half, I get to venture out more and more and see the next thing that I didn't see last time. And the last time I went, I actually got, hey, Chanel.
Say hi, Chanel.
Oh my gosh, we really do have stickers. Now, how old is Chanel?
She just turned 3 on last Wednesday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I like your stickers. You're gonna have to put a shirt on. This is a family-friendly show, Chanel.
Oh, yeah, I know. All right, give me this.
Oh, we love Daddy. So cute.
Okay, here, go on the
Yeah,
ground.
this is normally Daddy time, not Daddy has to work time. So what is this? That's
so,
awesome,
yeah,
man.
this is playing with her. But no, Japan's awesome. And then, okonomiyaki is like my favorite dish in the world. That's the Japanese pancake pizza. Zencha Tea Salon has it.
Okay.
So I go there a couple times to get it. And
Let's go. I want you to show me what to eat. So I had the best thing I ever ate was I was in Asakusa, like in the old, there's like the Nakamise market, I believe. It's like an old street market, and there was melon bread, and you like tear apart the melon. It was the most Western thing I ate, I think, in Japan, but it was like a sticky bread made fresh on the street, and I just went to where there was the most line of folks from Japan, so I knew like that's where to go. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And obviously the seafood, you can't get it better or fresher. So great. Well, I brought you on the show because we've done a few live remotes on the news together, and I was curious about well, first of all, there was a question that we had that came up before we get into your story.
Yeah.
One of my viewers asked, he said Cameron Fontana sounds like the name of an Italian dish, and I wanted to know: has anyone ever named a dish after you here in Columbus?
Not a dish, but I've done a couple like challenges, and I'm trying to think. There was one that they named. Oh wait! Oh shoot! There was a pizza. We were gonna work with. There was another pizza, but also Mikey's.
Oh yeah.
Late was going to work on a California, a Cam's California chicken pizza. So that started to be in the works. And then towards the end of last year, then of course everything happened. So it got delayed. And then there's another place that made the donuts. So Amy's Donuts.
Okay.
Made, I think we called it Cam's Banana Donut or Cam's Going Bananas Donut. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. And it had
we need to get on this. Let's get, once everything opens back up, we're going to get Cameron another something named after him here in town.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, you had a story about one of your live remotes that was notable and memorable, and I'm just going to full screen you to tell your story. So take it away, my friend.
So obviously with my job, we get to do a lot of really cool things. We've gone skydiving, we've gone to the World Series, we've gone in stunt planes, and we get to go to all the festivals and we get to meet these local businesses and great people every single day. Best part of the job that I do. But sometimes you run into mornings that aren't necessarily perfect or that aren't necessarily as fluid as you might like it to be. So without calling out anything specific, we were at one event that happens around Central Ohio every single year. And we had, for the very first time, a notable representative of the city at that event to talk about the event. So I'm with my cameraman, Edwin, and hey, Chanel. I'm with my cameraman, Edwin, every day almost for features. Oh, thank you. Watch out. Hey, we're going to put you here, okay? There you go. So I'm with him for features pretty much every day, and we'll talk to people a lot of times before we go on air. I'm not one of those guys where like I'm going to sit off in the corner and be on my phone. We talk to people, we get to know them, and just hang out while we're there. So talking to this representative, super cool person, asking them, about the event, just to I kind of loosen people up and get the answers before I go on TV. That way it's fresh in their mind. So going through it, we're talking about the good food that's there and everything. So we get on air, and this is the very first live hit in the morning to talk about the overview of the event. So I'm the person, all right? So I'm the representative, just to give you an idea. And let's pretend you're the camera, all right? So I'm right here, and you're the viewer watching this representative getting interviewed. So I ask him, mind you, I've been talking to him all morning for about an hour now. So tell us about the event. Again, this is the camera on live TV. Out of nowhere, this representative starts looking straight up into the sky, like this angle, about 45 degrees, and just goes, "It's going to be good." So I go, "Okay, tell us about the lineup that's happening later." we got a such and such country act. All right. Now, mind you, I got to fill 2 minutes worth of time, and I got, and he's given like, and I don't know where he's looking. He is looking across like 45 degrees. So he's going up. So I'm like, are you very excited? The event's happening this year. Tell us about what you love most. All of it. I'm just blown away because it's this representative of this city. So I'm asking the question. We get done. Fortunately, in school, I was that kid that always asked questions. I had 20 or 30 in my pocket at all times. I was that weird guy. So get through the interview. And while it's done, I look at Edwin. Edwin's looking at me like, what happened to this dude? Because the second we turn off the camera, he's going back to normal chit chat and everything. So we get to different people that day. We feature the event. We're done. We go back a year later. All right. Same person. And Edwin and I are constantly like looking at each other, like, remember last year? Remember what happened last year? And he was super cool. Talk to him again. We go on for our first hit. So something year, the anniversary of this event. What has changed the most over the years? Straight up into the sky. A lot's changed. Does it say anything else? Edwin,
no.
And you can see the camera on TV starts to shake because Edwin is giggling so loud.
And knowing
and
Edwin, this makes it so much funnier because I can just see him laughing.
And on live TV, you can see the camera shake. And I'm trying to keep a straight face because I'm going, this is happening again. Oh no. And same thing happened. Asked 2 or 3 questions. Interview was done. And he went back to normal. So it's like one of those things. It's unexplained. And I never had like I don't want to ask him because maybe he just got super nervous on camera for some reason.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things that was the only time because you have people that have short answers.
Right.
But the thing was, he looked both years just into the sky with those 1 or 2 word answers. And Edwin and I, to this day, people ask us, people ask what's the worst feature. We don't have a worst feature. We might have some mornings that it's National, I don't know, Bacteria Day, and they're
reaching.
We're reaching and stretching for 15 minutes of content. That will go down as the most memorable, like weird segment of all time.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't know what I would do in that situation where it's all
I don't think
up
they're
to
in
you.
office anymore. So like one of these days, I think I'm just going to say who it is and post the clip because I don't think they're like in the position.
I'm going to scour YouTube looking for that clip now. I won't play it on the show, but I will. I will scour for it. Yeah, that's amazing. I know whenever I've been on, it's always like, now I'm an entertainer for a living. And so even though performing for a camera is fairly new to me. For like the last few years, I've been trying to do more for camera, but since March, like I've had to learn how to do this, and I'm still learning. Right, I'm not nowhere near as
you're like you've been doing it for 20 years. That's what it looks like.
Well, thanks, but it's nowhere near as comfortable as if you put me in an auditorium in front of people when that used to be a thing. And so I remember getting the nervous smile to the point where it would start twitching because I would get like a twitch because I was smiling so nervously.
I've seen that happen before.
Yeah, and it's just like I can't fake it. But and somewhere I have a clip of this. I was in LAX during a shooting once. I was flying home from a gig in El Paso. And there was a shooting. Someone shot and killed a TSA officer, a TSA agent, while I was there. Now, I didn't see it, but it happened while I was boarding the plane. And so everyone came running in from the other terminal to our terminal, jumping over couches and stuff. It was crazy. And we didn't know what was going on at the time. And so I started tweeting about it. And 2 or 3 news stations contacted me while I was in the air. And when I landed in Columbus, there were news crews to interview me because I was the only person on that plane who had come from LAX.
How long ago was that?
This was probably 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
It was a while ago. And I can't even remember the name, like what stations or who interviewed me for that. But when I watch the video of me on camera, I'm smiling the entire time like an idiot talking about this horrible tragedy because that is how I know how to relate to like when there's a camera and lights on me. I'm just like, So it was amazing. It was really scary. I was super scared. It was awful. So I can empathize with people who don't exactly know what to do with their hands when they get on screen or whatever. And I'm sure that you know how to fill that time. When I've been on with you, it's usually like a matter of how do I take a 3-minute bit and turn it into 20 seconds so that we can spend the rest of the minute talking.
A minute.
Yeah.
You do the best trick in the world that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, with no setup.
And with no setup in 30 seconds.
Right. And I want to do it in 10 seconds. So then we can spend the other 20 seconds talking about whatever I'm promoting, which is for the last couple of years, it's the Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival down there in Gahanna.
This year.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it again next year, hopefully. And I do a comedy. I do a comedy tent and a show. Someone in the chat just said we need to see that interview on next week's show. Cameron, I will look for that clip. And maybe we'll look for the other clip you were talking about too, Cameron. Maybe we'll wait. Well, I'm going to wait until I get the okay from you, and we'll do an entire news segment. Ryan says Cameron's terrifying. Ryan's also an entertainer, so it's good to know that I'm not alone. That there are other folks that are in that same boat. So one of the newer things that we do on the show, Cameron, is in addition to just telling a story, I want to offer you the opportunity to tell a joke and do a trick if you want. So do you have a joke for us today?
Yeah, I was not prepared with a joke.
Okay.
Let me see. I don't have a joke or a trick. The only trick I know, I leave that to I only know that. That's like my only, like I freak kids out.
I have to give you a soundbite on that one.
Good. So every time my cousins would do that for me, like when I was younger, my cousin showed me, and then like my dad showed me, and now whenever it's kind of like a generational thing.
Yeah.
Like whenever one of my friends has a kid, there's that sweet spot of like 4 to 5 years old that you can make them believe that you pulled your finger off. Yeah. And I'm like, it's my greatest passion in life to get them in that sweet spot. And
I've got a couple nieces in that sweet age spot right now where if any magic that I do for them, I don't really have to try. I can literally just take something and then just like drop it. But then like they don't see me drop it because we're laughing and giggling, and then usually they just pee. Which is better than some of the reactions I get from some college audiences sometimes. So I'm kidding. They're all great. Every audience is good. Awesome. Well, we're going to move on to the next segment in the show, Cameron, which is called What the Shit Is This?
Oh. Okay.
All right. So with you being in the media and doing these live remotes and these features everywhere, I want to share one that you may have seen before. This is a classic. This is old. This is from, it looks like it's from about 1982, but it's from, I believe, the early 2000s. And let's just play it.
There's nobody
it's from 2001.
On overtime. There's nobody working
let's
on
listen.
The weekends. There's a lot that could be done to have this done a lot
I've
sooner.
seen this before.
I'm here every day.
Like it
She
gets so
lives
good.
on the first floor, and so I mean, I don't see.
I care about my other neighbors.
Well, I mean, it's scheduled. It's a contracted job. We don't tell the elevator company.
Yes, I remember this. I remember this.
They submit a schedule to us. They said they could do the elevator in 6 weeks. So all we're trying to hold them to is meeting their deadline. As far as doing elevator repairs 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, I don't see that as being a typical
best part
process.
is like
Nor do I. Is it a typical process?
It's so
people watching this for the first time are going, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
okay, here we go. This is where it gets
Don't let
good.
her go away. That's what. Does she have a response to that? Is she still there?
What's that?
Did the lady just leave?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. You should have kept that discussion.
She's back if you want her.
Yes. Yes.
What'd you like to know?
I would like to know a response to what the gentleman said. The gentleman's a very effective spokesperson for the company, but obviously the people who live there are not satisfied with his explanation.
This makes my palm.
Yeah.
So what do you want now?
Well, if I have to teach you how to be a reporter, Ollie, I'll do that later.
Oh, why don't you do that later, Jim? I think the lady expressed herself, and you're not here, you're there. Is there any question you'd like me to ask her?
No, I'll give you lessons on how to become a reporter later.
Well, I'll give you some lessons on how to be an editor, because I was your boss once.
Yeah, you were.
He used to be your boss.
No longer. How did that
what happened there?
Well, I don't know.
Good morning, Jim. We are live.
See, that to me is ultimate cringe. Like, because I watch so many videos, and unfortunately, I've made it on one of them. Not for being like mean to someone, but for like falling off a chair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the news fails. I'm addicted to watching news fails. Like,
oh my God.
Up on YouTube. Oh.
So when I was looking for our segment to show you here, I went through so many news fails, and since I assumed that you had seen them all, and there aren't many new ones, a lot of them are older.
Yeah.
I decided to go with this classic. Now, here's how I learned about this. If you're a big Saturday Night Live fan, Bill Hader based his character Herb Welch.
Best cast member of all time.
Yes. He based Herb Welch on this clip, on this guy. Who is Dick Olive, and let's get into the good part. I'm going to put the audio back up.
What's that?
Did the lady just leave?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. We should have kept that discussion.
She's back if you want her.
Yes, she heard you. Yes,
she said she heard you.
I
think that was a cameraman.
Response to what the gentleman said. The gentleman's a very effective spokesperson for the company.
And I've seen this happen.
Obviously,
like I've
people
seen
who live there are not
the fights between the reporter and the anchor.
Oh, especially like the women can get really like I've seen like women go at each other, and then like the guy will jump in, and just oh my goodness, people got vicious.
It's amazing. And so I know most of the people, I've met most of the people that you work with, they would never do anything like this to you. And you're universally loved. I can't imagine, this type of thing happening.
I think it gets to the point where and again, there are positions at our station and everyone in every work, that there is a point, yes, you're professional and you have to take your job seriously. But I'm one of those people, like, I'll be the first one, like, make fun of me. Like, I know I'm goofy. I know I'm weird. And that's where I think that you have to break the ice of like allowing, if I do something silly or say something stupid on air, like it's weirder for Sean or someone else not to say and not call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, is she not going to catch that? They must like not be that comfortable. It's almost like your best friend.
Yeah, you just have to, you have to completely be transparent and open with exactly what's happening and acknowledge any elephants that happen to walk into the room, or else it's like, there seems like there's some tension here. And I love watching those as well. And I'm going to start searching on YouTube for that as well to find your news fail.
Yeah, if you the news fail is when we had a temporary studio when we were building our new studio now. So we had an elevated desk in our newsroom. It was like a temporary set, and it was elevated. So I was sitting on a chair doing a story about like the Flash or something, and I was sitting in my chair, and my end of the story was like leaving the set. So I'm like, all right, see you guys later. And I forgot it was elevated, and I just go like in my chair, fall off air down onto the ground. And then the camera follows me down, and you're making a tea party.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Hold on. Hold on. I think that we may have, let me get to this here. Oh boy.
What's he doing?
Oh boy. I think that we've got.
Oh my. How did you find it that fast? There it is.
Oh boy. Okay. Oh, hold on.
Chanel, watch. Look.
Let's watch Daddy fall off a chair, Chanel.
Okay.
Very nice.
All right. I love it. All right, Cam.
It's fun. Thank you, Cam.
See ya.
All right, Black Friday.
I thought there was more room.
Jessica just
been waiting for that
laughed
to
at you hardcore.
I mean, again, and you know what? And that's what it's like. It's like my best friends are the ones that.
All right, Black Friday.
Like we laugh at each other. Like that's the first. If someone gets hurt, like our first reaction is like we kind of giggle at first, and then if it's serious, we do that.
Yeah. How about these faces? Oh, hi, Chanel. Look at your daddy's coworkers.
You're making fun.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, I appreciate you being a good sport and sharing that with us, man.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
That's a lot of fun.
And I'm trying to think. There's one other one. I forget which one it was, but yeah, I'm addicted to watching them, and it's one of those things where when you start watching them, that's like the you reap what you sow. Inevitably, you're going to be back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you sharing your time with us and your family with us. I'm sure that everyone enjoys seeing Chanel coming in with the stickers and the And
that's what I mean. I just kind of gave up on my personal Instagram and social posts. Like, I'm just like, it's just become.
Oh no! You know what? That stuff's only interesting if it actually represents your real life, and this is your real life. So that's what all of us want to see. Is we want to see what's real and that type of thing.
And I want to thank you, dude. Obviously, when we come out, and like I said, we do a lot of features, and you're one of those people where it's like when we know you're on the show, it's like there's another level of comfort there because you're always entertained, you're always funny, and you always do the most mind-blowing, simplest tricks in the entire world. And I hate it because every time I'm like, all right, this year, I think he's going to do something I'm going to figure out.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, I'll turn around and you put a spider on my back and I have no idea how it got there.
Well, that's an amazing segue to our last segment of the show. But before we go, how can people find you online other than Googling news reporter fail?
Yeehaw! Honestly, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Cameron Fontana, YouTube, just the name, it's all there.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Cameron. Feel free to stay on and watch. I've got one last segment on, and that is the trick. And we'll see you soon. I hope to join you again on the air sometime.
So, hey, we'll set up. I'm not kidding. This is like live on the thing. In the next few weeks, because obviously you're doing virtual, we'll have you on our morning show to be like a Zoom trick in studio.
Oh, I'd love it. I would love it. Yeah, and we can do it. I can do it right here, or we can do it in studio. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll do it with a mask on.
Yeah,
that's hard to do. Zoom. Yeah, it's a whole different level. Anyway, well, thanks again, buddy. It was awesome to see you. Bye, Chanel. Bye, Cameron.
Sorry for blowing your speakers, everybody.
Oh no, you're fine. Everyone, have the Fontana family have a wonderful night. It was good to see you. We're gonna move on to our last segment, and that is Trick. All right. So I had a trick set up for tonight, and I have since changed my mind as to what it is that I wanted to perform. I found that since I have a box of tissues with me because of the fact that I think I'm getting a little bit of a cold, I thought I would do something with a tissue.
Yeah, pee-pee and pee-pee. Want to watch a trick?
And that's the trick, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate everyone joining me. Thank you so much to Cameron Fontana for coming on the show tonight. Thanks to producers James Baker and Sean Brown. We really appreciate you. Make sure, if you have not already, to join the Patreon. That's patreon.com/Michael Kent. Also, subscribe to the youtube.com/Michael Kent Live. Hit the bell. And man, we'll see you all later. We'll see you next week. Next week, we've got Kelly Bell, who I toured Asia with. He's an awesome dude. He has a blues band called the Kelly Bell Band. We're going to have him on the show, and we're going to talk about some stories. And that's the show for tonight. I hope to see you all next week. Come back, join us. I'm going to keep the chat up during the credits so you all can keep talking to each other. Everyone, have a great night. We'll see you next week.
I'll be in touch with you about coming.
Hey friends,
on
over the years
for a
I've had
Zoom
hundreds
interview.
of unofficial supporters. Now,
Sweet.
You can make it official. Join my Patreon, 4 different levels, tons of exclusive benefits, access, behind the scenes, backstage video, access to shows that you normally wouldn't get to see, producer support, credits, shout outs, VIP events, everything you can think of. And you can join for as little as $1 a month. So thank you in advance for your support. I love all of you.